Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are, welcome. For those of you who are here live, thank you for being here with us. And for those of you who are watching this later, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I always like to say that, this is like the rising tide that lifts all boats era with AI, where as each one of us gets stronger in our skills and our understanding, especially about like ethics, especially this year. It's the rising tide that lifts all boats. So thank you so much for investing your time with us. We are Light Magic AI. We offer human-centered AI solutions, everything from assessment of your AI readiness through determination of where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck and your time, building solutions, implementing, and doing some change stewardship with your team as well. So I'm Ann Murphy, and I have with me Tyler Fisk and Josh Houston. And today we're going to talk about building your hive mind, whether it's for your own self, if you are a solopreneur or an artist or any other, your family hub, so that you have all the information that you need to run your life, run your business, all literally at a fingertip, and you're able to talk to that information. And it's really truly an extension of your own brain. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to give you a few examples along the way. And I wanted to dive in so that as people are coming online, you can start hearing about an actual use case where Tyler uses his, oh, hey, Greg, where Tyler uses his tools to expand his own mind and his own capability of doing projects. So Tyler, I'll hand it over to you. Do a little intro, and then when we kick it over to Josh, same.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Tyler, one of the co-founders at Light Magic, and I have been playing with the second brain hive mind type ideas, if you've heard about that, for a while now. Because if I do not get something out of my head and into something, and it needs to be better than a notepad, sometimes I'll get it there first and then get it into this database. Like I'll forget it. Like I've got ADHD, and two toddlers. Things are hard, y'all. So if I don't get it out of my head and down somewhere that I can come back to it later and get it into a system that gets into my to-do list and all of the things, then I don't think I would be much of a functioning human being, honestly. Like I would drop a lot of balls. So I've been playing with this a lot, and some recent tools, a lot of the AI tools that we have can now play together.
Say hi. This is our co-CEO today, everybody.
What up?
This is Ezra.
How?
He gets bored of our work very fast.
Yeah, but it's basically like data, like brain dumping anything that I need to know about or our organization's information all into one location, so that either I can get to it or what the team needs access, they can get to it and ask questions or use it for all sorts of different stuff. So Josh, I know you've done a lot of work on this too. What do you think?
Yeah. Hey, Josh Houston, co-founder here at Light Magic. So I think the biggest problem that businesses of all sizes face is sharing information. If you're working by yourself and you start to bring in, say, some subcontractor vendors, like an accountant, a bookkeeper, or a personal assistant, a VA, or a project manager, as soon as you add more than just one person into the mix, this communication pain point is exponentially larger. And it doesn't feel bad. It's not one of those maybe constant droning headache pains. But when you start to delegate and work with people, getting the information that here across the table into their brain, into their workflows is really a bottleneck. And so when we talk about hive mind, what we're talking about is creating a shared space where all the information can live, breathe, and exist, and then intelligently connecting the dots on all of those different pieces. So in a small team, even just having 10 people or less, there's huge benefit to every meeting that gets, hosted being shared with the team, all the information, the outcomes, the action items. There's real tangible work that has to be done in order to share information across the board. And what we're talking about with the AI component is leveraging AI assistance as part of the hive mind to help share information across the table, so that we don't have to continue to do I just had a sales call and I need to make sure everybody's in the loop. So I write a summary email and then I have 3 action items for other people on the crew. So I go into my project management mode for 30 minutes and do all this tedious admin. So we're talking about that pain point of making sure that everybody is in the loop so that business can function without everybody having to attend every meeting and everybody having to debrief, catch up. Hey, let's sync. Because in an asynchronous business world, that's where we're going. I can make a Loom video that gets everybody caught up from a 2-hour meeting in 5 minutes. Everybody could be caught up. But I could also have that same meeting get saved to the Hivemind, and then people be able to like chat against it when they're looking at like, hey, where's this pipeline deal at? Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today with a couple of like practical applications. One being Tyler's going to show and tell inside of the Cassidy tool, which we're really excited to showcase. And then, I'll talk a little bit about the BizOps side of just like talking through this strategy with a marketing agency application. Because I know a lot of our buddies in the AI space are in that world of marketing teams and making things happen in an agency context. And
Kevin is saying that our stream isn't working. He's getting a 1 second and then a 15-second freeze. This does happen sometimes. I chalk it up to just, LinkedIn. I don't know what, right? I don't want to diss the platform that we're currently on, but and I do feel, I think there's not that much we can do about it, but I might be wrong. Are you going off camera, Josh, to check?
I just clicked a button. Maybe it's my internet.
Maybe your internet. Okay.
I did not choose to stop sharing my video.
Oh, interesting. Well, oh, it's good for you, Rick. Hi, Rick. How are you? Oh my gosh. Wonderful. Well, folks, if LinkedIn continues to be janky, maybe hop over to YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't even know people were tuning in on YouTube, which is awesome. I should have known that. Question for you all, because I know this is one of the things that people want to, it might be on your end, Kevin, but also you might hop over to YouTube. Oh, maybe one of you guys, Tyler and Josh, can you drop that in the chat in case he's not hearing this?
Yeah.
So one of the things that comes up right away was something like putting all of your precious like in order for a Hivemind to be useful, it's got to have a lot of your stuff, particularly some of your juiciest IP. Thoughts on keeping that from the, greater unwashed masses, knowing that, in some cases, there's a justified concern, right, about security. So can you talk about that a little bit, Josh and Tyler?
Yeah. I'll do this in popcorn, Tyler. So the first consideration is like looking at the tools that you use. There's the standard like ChatGPT, Anthropic, Google Bard, like chat face interfaces that you can have your discussions with and start to load information into in context. Pretty much every premium tier of those platform will offer you some level of cybersec, infosec, like compliance related badges, and they have all their little like, I'm not a cybersec person, so that's probably rude of me to just like bucket it as like their little badges, but like that's what they all have to be compliant in some context. But in your settings, you can control whether or not your data is going to be shared and trained upon to the larger models, and that's a huge first step on any platform to make sure that your data is not going to be turned into like training data, especially if you're loading in customer deets, PII, like legal or financial or health type information. Like those are all protected categories with real ramifications. Looking first to make sure that the platforms and tools that you're looking at actually leverage InfoSec and have the badges and will have like information about how they're handling this information that you share. But when you start to customize and use more bespoke tools, you're able to fully control whether your information is internal or external. Like external being like, would a model or a platform use your information for anything? So one of the steps that we go through when we test our tools, we've tested hundreds of tools as a team, is checking with the product teams to make sure that we understand exactly how they're going to use our data. Are they looking at our IP inside of our accounts, or are they just looking at our user activity? Those are some questions and categories that we typically look for to make sure that what we're doing is secure and safe, and checking with our like legal team to make sure that we're not actually like putting ourselves at risk for using a specific tool for a specific, like more sensitive application. But there is definitely this trust process that you have to go through to establish with each tool, because out of the 10,000 plus tools, they're not all compliant. They're not all like locked in. Not every team has, really, really smart, intentional cybersecurity, info security type precautions in place. So it's always like a vetting process, but then there's things you can do on a user level as well to help with the process. Tyler, do you want to weigh in as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like the good thing about a lot of the tools that we use is like where you're keeping the knowledge is generally in a tool, in some sort of software that your team already uses. Like we use Google Workspace a lot. So that's going to have all the compliances that you would want when you have things in Google Docs, Google Drive, like all sorts of things in that regard. We're using Notion now too, which we have the SOC 2 type compliance on that. I'm not sure if Notion is HIPAA or not. I would guess that on the enterprise plan they might, but like we've helped folks and talked to folks to like work through that about making sure that their data is secure, because you definitely want to do that, because the power in using these things is that you can chuck all of your really sensitive information into here, or like IP or any of that kind of stuff in here to have questions against it, or to use it to generate content, whether that be like an email or a blog post or just like internal training stuff, like any of that kind of thing. You don't have your secret sauce all over the internet, which it's a simple question of like going and looking at what the tool's security is. That's pretty much it.
Can you give well, I love these, but I'm sure some of our audience would appreciate too, like the 1, 2, 3 about best practices for that as like your own individual user case. Context is king with AI. Hi, Sarah. What can we do as individuals to protect our safety, our data safety and security?
Work in the cloud. That's like, I forget because I've been doing this like my whole career, but like there are still work environments and people still have habits of working offline. And at least like when I was in the IT world, like the main consideration of security and InfoSec was like, if we had stuff on hardware, like someone had downloaded and was working offline, that is a much more risky scenario, like than working in the cloud, and that like you're not always going to be able to track like who's around your devices. If you're in a workspace office, you leave your computer open, like legitimately someone could walk up with a USB drive, and that's like a weird, like people don't think about that, but like in big workplaces that's totally normal. Your stuff just hanging out. And if you're in the cloud, like you could at least track to see what happened, like a file was moved, okay, it's logged, versus it's not always that way on the hardware side. So that's one that like just working in the cloud, like getting into Google Workspace or getting into your O365 or a Notion, wherever you work, keeping all the information that you do have in draft form, in work in progress, and in completed form in the same general like place. Like if it's Google, like drafting documents in Google, moving them to like work in progress or like waiting for a review, like keeping them in that space is like my first thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Note to self. Yeah. I occasionally do download something and then end up working on it on my machine and then blah, 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 blah. I know. Okay. Now I will behavior change. I will change my behavior.
How would your AI assistant know what you were working on if it's not anywhere to be found? That's the like, which it jumped to AI is like, okay, maybe that's a few steps, but like, how would a team member be able to collaborate with you inside of a document if it's on your machine?
Oh, don't get me started on versioning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's not even go into that.
Let's not even, I mean, of course, it's that perfect saying of when you're pointing fingers at somebody else, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. Like every time I want to beef at somebody for versioning, it's like, it's always me.
Yeah. My favorite question to get from somebody when we're working in the cloud is, all right, so did that save? And you're like, see the little thing, it says saved. And then but that's like, for me, I don't know. I'm like a young worker and like that's new in the last 10 years, right? Cloud-based everything is not the norm. Sure. And it's not the norm in all workspaces. So,
for sure.
Good prerequisite.
Quick little anecdote. I once lost my laptop at JFK, and you would not believe like the SWAT team, Navy SEALs, like precision with which our IT team descended upon JFK, I mean, not literally, but figuratively upon JFK, because that was back in the day when I don't even know if there wasn't a cloud. It was all on your actual hard drive computer machine. Of course, I had all this donor information. It was just like,
Yeah.
at least it's not like that anymore. Do you guys want to do a demo?
Sure. Where do you want to start? You want to show GPT and show how you're doing this first, or do you want to go jump right into the other stuff?
Let's do Cassidy because we love Cassidy.
We do, yeah.
Have we plugged Cassidy yet on the show? I think
I don't think so. Let's do it.
To the people. Tyler, while you're doing that, do you want me to give a spiel?
Yeah, you do that while I'm getting the live up and going, please, sir.
I'm going to get a coffee. Hold on.
Okay. Beverage break. Tune in. I've got water in a green cup. Okay, so we've been working with a company called Cassidy AI, and they are exactly what we have been describing as a HiveMind product. So this 2024 has a lot of like this style of product coming to market. You're seeing it across the board. There's all these co-pilot versions or products that companies are launching. Cassidy is a really cool product that sits on top of your knowledge base. So whether in Google or in Notion or Microsoft, and helps you put a customizable backpack that you get to fill with all the tools, parts, and pieces that you want to use for your work with AI components. So the main thing that we've done in exploring this system is load in our knowledge base, all of our IP, all of our meeting notes, all of our information, and wired up all these like intake, or I guess like inroads to the funnel of like, we have to feed this, we have to feed the HiveMind. So we've configured the system so that we load all this context and then you can prompt against the context. So they have different plain versions of different models inside of the system, like your OpenAI models, your Google models. Correct me if there's others, or there's probably more options inside of the tool. The ability to add and customize assistants. So customize your own inside of their platform, which isn't necessarily always going to be an OpenAI assistant. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I think it's customizable. Yes, link to Cassidy. Do we have a share link yet?
I don't think so. It's just CassidyAI.com is like the main thing. And then we'll share like a discovery call later if you guys have questions on this, because
we should bring Justin.
You get it set up here. Let me drop that into the place here.
Awesome.
Or I shared it internally. If someone else wants to share that too, then I've got this pulled up and we'll jump right into the demo.
So basically, it's a place to build AI assistants on top of your knowledge base, and it's a place to build workflows and automation. So they've added that recently. They've integrated with Zapier and given us the ability to just rock it. And we have tested this across so many different use cases. It's really mind-blowing, like the type of power and quality we're getting out of the system. Justin and the team over there have done a great job of just slowly building the features that people need, that we're asking for, that we want to see in the AI ops world. And Tyler's going to show off a version of that today here. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Tyler, and enjoy, everybody.
Yeah. So like Josh said, we have all of our information added into a knowledge base now, and we've built out a bunch of different assistants here that can be all sorts of different things. There's like an expert meeting note taker that does summaries. There's the Light Magic team assistant. Hunter has multiple versions of Hunter in here where he's like continuing to refine on it. I have Captain Underpants, which is me being silly because I was using the smart brevity and I'm like, briefs, Captain Underpants. This is how my brain thinks. Like it writes the TLDR version on stuff. So it's like all these different assistants that are made for like different tasks, and it has workflows in here. The feature that I'm really excited about is like Josh said, they just added in connection into Zapier. And so we can have all of our toys play together. So this can play together. My two favorite toys can now talk in Respell and Cassidy. So to show this off and like how it can be used is, I was doing this earlier, it's just like a sample chat. I actually, before we focused on Light Magic, was working on a pasture-raised poultry chicken business, and I pushed pause on it briefly, but it was essentially to like sell equipment and supplies, like so a B2C type business and an e-commerce type business. And here's a way that like a company could use that. So like I have a question about a model that we're building of like an actual product. So it's like, can you let me know the total feet of wire lock that we need for the yoke model of the chicken tractor? I don't remember. Like I need to know, like, what would that be? So really like company specific information, and it's able to go search through our knowledge base and then spit it right back out. So after reviewing the parts list, it appears that it doesn't explicitly mention it. It does, but it says it's 13 of 12-foot wire lock. So it knows that we need 156 feet of the specific part out of like hundreds that go on this thing. So there's a PDF document in there. Mm-hmm. So then if I was to like, let me see, how did I do this earlier when I was simulating how this could be used? So awesome. Let me copy and paste here. And I'm just using the GPT-4 like stock model here. Mm-hmm. Because like all of our assistants are trained on Light Magic, and so it would be trying to like AI our chicken stuff here instead of it like sticking on the script. So that's why I'm doing that. But like on our stuff, and I'll show this here in a minute, if I didn't know how to do a specific thing or didn't know what I was looking for, it can search the entire knowledge base.
Yeah.
So if I was like, Josh said something about how Zapier is now in Cassidy and it can connect to Respell, I think. He said that in a meeting the other day. I don't remember exactly what he said. Can you find that and quote it? And it would go find that from the transcript, because we put that in the knowledge base, and pull it back and quote it to me. So I don't have to go like bug Josh about that. Like I can just go look it up here, which is sick. So this right here, like I was like, awesome. Can you draft an email? Josh is now the purchasing manager for Chicken Karma. I need to send him an email to let him know that we had a customer just bought 10 of the yoke models, and I need him to purchase all the wire lock needed for from Wire Company on a purchase order. So it not only like drafted the email for me, it was like, hey, I hope this email finds you well. And granted, this is not like tailored to sound like me. This is just for demo purposes.
It did find them well, though.
It did, yeah. And it was like, hey, we just received an order for 10 chicken tractor models, and we need to purchase enough wire lock to fulfill the order. As per the parts list, we need 13 of the 12-foot pieces. That's 156 each. So it's even doing math here, which it usually is not good at. And so it tells Josh that, hey, we need 1,560 feet that he needs to add on to a purchase order. And I could just set up the workflow that would be connected to email and just send the email right from here within Cassidy, which is pretty sick. Then let's see here. Ann was the sales manager on this, and this client who bought these 10 models had some questions. So I'm saying Ann is the sales manager, and said that the client was also asking for recommendations on layers like hens that they could stock these 10 different yoke models that they purchased. And so can you check our knowledge base and then give me 5 recommendations on breeds?
What's up, guys?
What up?
Yeah, there he is.
How's it going?
Good, man. Demoing this off.
To everybody who's out there in the audience, Justin and our team were just in Slack talking about a bug that's not on Cassidy's side, and so I was like, "Do you want to hop on the live?" And voila, here he is.
I think
Worse,
what do you have to
guys.
do?
I pulled up the live on LinkedIn and I was like, "Holy shit, it's Cassidy!"
There you go. Yeah, dude. So we're just showing off how you can use this in a chicken business right now. Yeah.
You know, I think it's the best use case that works. Cassidy is specifically meant for chicken businesses. So
yeah, I love it.
That's revolutionizing the game.
It is. It really is. So yeah, Ann is acting as sales manager. She needed something to get back to the client on what's the best layers, and we have that in our knowledge base. And so I can have it go look that up and then give me recommendations on the 5 layers that we would recommend for this specific thing. It could even be like location dependent. Like I could tell it that and it would know. There we go. Novagen is like the breed to use. So it nailed this. And so it not only identified the breeds, it's writing the email that I can copy paste or workflow to Ann, and then she can get right back to the client. Or she could have done this herself. Like she wouldn't even had to ping me necessarily. Everybody's jumping on the call. What's up, Sarah?
I just made it.
Yeah.
What's up?
This is just like bananas to me. Like after running helping run a business that is like a greenhouse manufacturing company, and knowing like how much information needs to swap heads in that business that's like really just specific like this. I mean, this right here it's a big deal. It really is. And then to be able to tie this into automations, because this is just like basic use of Cassidy, to tie this into automations is where this really changes things up.
Can I just say, well, I mean, Justin, you all have heard me say this, and I put this in the chat, that like this tool is the one that gave me like the face melting existential crisis, because it makes me scalable, which is 25 years of subject matter expertise. And then I like had to mourn all the life energy that I have squandered in this one precious life on nonsense, because Cassidy can do it so much better than I can. Like, for example, it pretty much wrote my book for me that I've been like torturing myself over. But also what I wanted to say is that with use cases like this means that you can also bring in totally like under-trained salespeople. Like with this tool, I could sell chickens that lay fancy eggs. I mean, with a little bit of extra support and tone and all that kind of stuff. And that it, like the thing that I want to say to people is that this is what allows you to get paid. You do this, you get paid faster, right? You're done with the deal. Like, let's just say it's a business use case. You do this and all of a sudden you have money flowing in that could have taken 2, 3, 4 weeks because you were dinking around with the process and maybe writing blah, blah, blah emails. So.
Yeah, it's wild. And then if you get like stuff like this, I just ask it. And again, I have not gone in. If I was really doing this for real, I would set up an assistant that their only job is to write SEO rich blog articles for whatnot, and then have it connected to a workflow that's going to send it out to whatever our content management system is. But if you as Ann are the sales manager and saying like, we keep getting asked this question a lot, we need to put some content out about this so we can educate our customer base. Like instead of doing that in ChatGPT where you have to give it all this information, you have limited context windows, you could literally just be like, okay, here's the problem. Let's solve it right now. And just go post it on your website instantly with a blog or social media posts or like you name it. It's pretty wild, but yeah.
I documented like what Ann said, and do you want to read it out loud? Because it's really good.
Yes.
For Cassidy moment. Because I put it in the chat. You said, this is my BC AC moment. Before Cassidy, after Cassidy, documented. Like it was that holy shit moment. It really was.
It really was. I mean, Justin, I am so incredibly grateful I mean, this sounds so sycophantic, but I am so incredibly grateful to what you've done, your vision with this and the execution on it. And I know that you are just getting started. Mm-hmm. And to be able to, I know this, again, it sounds so like whatever, but for me to be able to eventually onboard people in my industry into a tool like this and see how their humanity can be amplified so that they can spend, I'm in the nonprofit fundraising industry, that the time that they can spend with donors opens up. We reduce, turnover. Our people who are underqualified can do A+ work, blah, blah, blah. It's just bliss. I can't thank you enough.
That means, I mean, thank you guys. That means a lot. I mean, yeah, look, I think the team that we're building, we're working hard to try to build the best tool that we can. And, I think you guys, what you guys have built, and you spend a lot of time in the AI space, and, seeing you guys find so much use out of it and seeing the potential definitely is really exciting for us, as we've, spent the past, almost year now building this product out. So yeah, I mean, that's awesome, guys.
Yeah.
Question, Justin. You're welcome to hang with us, but if you're going to go, before you go, we're talking about the hive mind concept today, and Cassidy is kind of a great example of this type of product that sits on top of your knowledge base that we can start to customize and tailor AI assistants around the work we do and bringing all the info together. Could you give us your hot take on where you think the industry's going in the course of the next year as a player in the game on a product side? What sort of stuff should the average, like, we're AI ops people, we're not product builders or engineers. What sort of direction should we be looking to with tools like this at our fingertips here?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the first, great question. I think when ChatGPT came out last year, and what we've seen over the past year is people taking advantage of just the simple large language models with, just raw ChatGPT in a lot of ways, right? Of just the large language model with no context about who you are, your business, or anything like that. And I think, where 2024 is going, and I think the big focus is basically, how do you actually add the context to the large language model, right? And that's always been sort of the first thing, and the first, how we came up with sort of the vision for Cassidy in the first place was simply hey, what would it look like if ChatGPT knew about our business, right? And I think that that's just the start of what adding context means to the LLM, because it starts with, sure, just your company knowledge, but then your company tools, and your company actions, and then replicating the end-to-end workflows of your real employees. And it's all, I think, baked into the lens of context is sort of king. And so that's where I think the a lot of the AI consulting and where you guys are as sort of AI ops people is that it's not necessarily an easy task to bring the context into the large language model. And it's not necessarily just the task of computer scientists and technical people. It now is well, there are tools like Cassidy where, how do you set up a Cassidy instance properly that you can effectively bring in the context to the large language models, whatever you use. And so I think that's the way everybody's got to think about it, is really, how do you customize these large language models and, quote unquote, fine tune, when fine tuning really just means how do you make it do really replicate your company's unique work. So yeah.
Love that. One of our viewers said they were just talking to you.
Speaking and sending me a response. Yeah,
it's like you've got an assistant.
Kind of me at once. They're all just a bunch of AI systems.
Yeah.
Sarah, you had a question.
Oh, we can't hear you, Sarah.
Oh, here.
Now you're unmuted. There we go.
I'm always doing that to my cell phone calls. So there we go. I guess it's similar to that line of thought, is really understanding your vision, especially because we are power users of Cassidy, and obviously we want to share more of it. How would you want us to, or how would you explain it and share your vision with other people so we know also how to bring that through in our communication?
Yeah, I think, something that's interesting, with AI tools that we're going to see is there's going to be a bunch of different tools that have a different AI cognitive architecture to them, and so there are tools like ChatGPT where they're all chat based, and they're going to require someone to continue to chat with it, and those will continue to move into an agent based cognitive architecture where you tell it to go off and do a task, and then it does the task and comes back to it. And something that we've been thinking about as Cassidy is very focused on businesses specifically, and business use cases is more around, this workflow cognitive architecture. So how can you really set up a chain of prompts and set up, effectively the systems that the AI will run versus kind of leaving it more open-ended for it to decide what to do and what tasks to complete. And I think there's a lot of potential in the agent world, and that's where a lot of, the biggest, OpenAI and the big potential for them is. But I think businesses right now, they can get majority of the advantage from AI by focusing on the architectures where they give them more control. you're not going to be able to deploy an agent to automate your customer success tickets and things like that. There's going to be too much, room for error and issues. And ultimately, it just doesn't make sense for a business to do that. But there are ways to set up workflows that are specifically designed, and the prompts have been fine-tuned over time, and you've invested the energy to implement it, that you can actually see the benefits of AI today.
Yeah.
And not just kind of buying into a false promise of AI agents that aren't here yet.
Yeah, and I think that also, like, because there's been a lot of conversation around, how OpenAI is moving in this arena, and there are all these other players in this space, and whether, what that actually means for the ecosystem. But like you say, it's like OpenAI is not built for specialized use cases. It's built for like the generalized way of using these systems. So I think enabling people to actually be able to customize and provide I love to say this, but context is king when it comes to AI. I say that all the time, but it's so true, because that's like what's important, right? It's being able to use the power of these large language models in the context of your business. And that's what Cassidy enables for businesses, is for you to be able to essentially create your own little large language model that's, trained on your business and centralized, and all of the other things that you're building on top of it, like, the workflows and the connections to other apps and things like that, is really going to make it useful. And I will say this, because there are quite a few in our community of like AI consultants that are here, and this is like something that we all look for. But people like Cassidy's voice prompt analysis thing is like shockingly good. Like, there is a solid voice paragraph analysis prompt behind that. When Tyler did mine and I read it, I was like, damn, I want to see that prompt that was behind that.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's like a really key thing for a lot of businesses, is like, how do I get it to sound like me?
Totally.
You've built it in a really clever way where it's like on point. So well done.
So
Thanks so much.
we've got a bunch of different questions coming in here from the crowd. So let's see if we can answer some of them.
Cool. You're live on LinkedIn right now. Should I reshare this thing? I'm just pulling this up on the side to see how.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we'll start. We'll pop back up for Rick here. Rick popped up and said, COO of an AI startup, which is an awesome AI startup, by the way, Rick. We're building a set of information specific to starting a business, like safe notes, board minutes, formation docs, etc. And would love to hear about how Justin is using Cassidy to manage the business of being startup for his own company.
Cool. Wait, I'm sharing this thing on LinkedIn right now.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So I'll chime in on that initially, and then we'll let Justin come back in. So Rick, I mean, really, the power of this is being able to, I know you guys are moving fast, probably in the same way that our team is. And everyone's not able to be in all the calls and all the meetings and all the places. And when we share stuff out in the Slack, which Cassidy and Respell and all of our tech stack are all connected into each other now. And so we can ask questions of that. So if some of your other team members are in a meeting or didn't make it to a meeting, need to ask something about it, you can do that right here. Like, even in this example I showed, Sarah and I had a meeting with one of our friends, Mark, the other day. We had already done some work on a project, and we estimated it was going to take like 30 to 40 hours is how much it currently took for them to do this thing. And then in our follow-up meeting, Mark actually corrected us. And so I was acting like, oh, I don't remember what he said. I could type that in here and have it quote me directly from the transcript. It goes and looks through our knowledge base for everything that's connected, and then brings back and quotes him directly. This is the thing I really love about it, is it cites it and links to it. So it's not hallucinating, and it gives you a verifiable footnote to go to the file to double check it. So it's so good, because now I don't have to go ask Mark. We're big proponents of AI note takers, so we can be present in the meetings and not have to worry about jotting this down. And then that also, by putting it into a connected system like this that connects into all of our other tech stack toys, is that anyone can ask questions against it. It's ridiculous. Josh could have not been in the meeting and write up the scope for this project, run it through a different workflow on that, which is
I did.
It did, yes.
All right, I share the live, so I'm back at the questions.
Awesome. Yeah, how are you using tools like Cassidy and other AI assistants within your process of building a startup, leading a team, connecting all the dots? Justin, that was the question.
Yeah, I mean, one way we like dog food Cassidy internally is that this is kind of a fun use case. Is basically right now Cassidy, you have to request access to join the product, and that's just as we kind of are more of a sales led motion. But basically, everybody who signs up for Cassidy immediately goes through a workflow where we look you up online, we look at your LinkedIn, we look at your company, and we basically make a decision of like, are you a fit for us? Are you a decision maker at the company? Are you the person who, can purchase a product, and sort of kind of like lead qualification for inbound. And then from that kind of puts you down, hey, do we just send you access to Cassidy? Do we have you kind of do a demo call with the team? But kind of a way that you can sort of deploy the reasoning, of these kind of AI, assistants into lead qualification of your sales process, whatever it might be, right? We're pretty bespoke in terms of like request access for Cassidy, but there's a bunch of different lead, processes that people have and companies might have. So that's the sort of the beauty of the workflows, is that you can kind of customize to, the ways that your company goes about inbound, outbound sales processes, things like that. So yeah.
Love it. You just gave us the corporate word of the day, dog food. Can you define it for the audience? A verb?
Yeah. Dog food basically is when you're I don't even know how they came up with dog food, but it's basically eating your own products, right? Like using, your tools internally. So, you can't just build the product for other people. You'd ideally build it for yourself and for your own company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great analogy, because the best products are the ones you build because you want it to exist.
Smoking your own supply.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes.
That was for our internal team. I didn't know that you were on there. Sorry. Now you know a little bit more about me.
You also
Perfect,
know that she likes my hair color.
I love your hair color. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with it. I was thinking about it last night when I went to sleep. I was like, oh my God, it's so good.
You've been thinking about my hair. I love that. From the OG hair model herself. Anyways, let's keep it on track, people. So there's
Sana, what's up? Sana wants to know what types of tools we can integrate with Cassidy. So Cassidy's now connected into Zapier. We were actually brainstorming before we went live, like really quickly with Anne, of that, like she's able to go and pull people's information down from LinkedIn. And we were like, we could have it work through the process that Donnie does of like reaching out to these folks and connecting to them on like a personal level. And then we're like, do they get a phone number? She's like, maybe for a third of them. I'm like, well, we could send that to a prompt chain through Zapier to Respell to call them with like an AI phone assistant too. Pull that transcript lands back into the knowledge base that's connected to all of the things. That's like ridiculous. That is, yeah. And it can do that. I ordered pizza the other day with PizzaBot that Hunter and I built doing that. It was pretty funny with an AI phone agent. Yeah.
And am I correct? And like, did you see Nicole's TikToks the last couple of days about, you'll just have to look at it because the words are escaping me right now, but using the app thing and Zapier and voice transcript, voices and like, but the thing that I love about that use case, Tyler, of like, initially I was like, well, it's only like a third of them, but a third of 7,000 people with no effort on my end. And in this case, I would use it to say, look at the dope AI stuff that my company can do. For example, I'm calling you right now. Like, I wouldn't necessarily be trying to pan it off at this stage because it would freak people out. I'd be like, this is an example. Imagine what we could do with you if we were just trying to like automate your email, let alone have somebody call you, right? And it can do like so many, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Justin,
one thing that's been really good is the LinkedIn scraper
yeah.
within Cassie. That's really not easy to do.
It's not doable.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
And that we
Yeah,
prepare for our calls like that. Like we go to Cassidy and do a whole analysis of who we're talking to in the company, and it's like done. There's our market research for the call. So
totally. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the integrations, I mean, we'll continue to build out more integrations. Like we have LinkedIn natively in the workflow. We have the Zapier connection, which kind of opens the doors for a lot of other ones. And then, the most interesting ones are the ones that, we're really custom building for the knowledge base integrations, because that's, something new in terms of like, it's not just integrating or making an API call, but how can we actually ingest your knowledge from Slack, Notion, Confluence, Google Drive, SharePoint. So, that like there's kind of other integrations baked in and different things there, but, something that we're focusing on is, I think, in the way that Zapier really built out the library of integrations, something that we're thinking about is how do we build a library of AI actions, right? So, how do you enable businesses to easily sort of build that AI component of your workflow? Maybe you even do connect and you always have that Zapier connection with that bespoke CRM that you use for your, construction industry. You always have that integration through something like Zapier, but the sort of AI part of your workflow where you want to have reasoning and you want to have it access to the context of your business and write and sound like you, that requires its own level of customization of it, and tooling. And so that's what we're sort of focused on at Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have such a variety of clients, like from size, from smaller businesses to enterprise, are you seeing like a trend in terms of how these companies are using them differently, or are the use cases more or less similar?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone sort of has the same buckets in which they use AI products, and it's just a different flavor for, every industry and company. I mean, I get excited about, the creativity of how people can come up with different use cases that are unique to them. And I think that's sort of the beauty of building a, horizontal product, something like, Zapier, or even like a Notion of, being able to see all the unique ways that people have built, amazing Notion spaces and everything from like, career pages to to-do lists to internal CRMs and everything is in between. And I think that we're sort of just scratching the surface of people coming up with unique ways of how do you, enable and use these AI platforms in unique ways. So I think that's something that, I'm excited about is, there are the common use cases and the commonalities of automating customer success, automating sales, marketing. But, what are the things that people are doing that are just totally unique to that they came up with of ways that they can really put sort of the AI to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Awesome.
So what's the priority for you guys? I mean, as your guys is you're building out, this amazing, AI consulting, everything, AI ops. What are you guys seeing lately?
Well, right now, Josh and I are on deep dive of connecting Notion and like building out our entire everything, like basically in there, like everything that contains the deal pipeline, internal notes, all of the things, because we do that now in Slack and we do that through Google Workspace, but it's a little bit, it's not as clean to look at. And so we're basically going to be using Google Workspace and Drive for part of it and Notion for the rest of it. And I'm really excited for that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Josh, you want to speak on that a bit more? Cause like,
yeah, I think full circle, like we're building the hive mind and we're doing that for ourselves and customers, like looking at all the different conversations that we have across pretty much every area of the business, pulling that into one space and then piping all that data, like since it's directly connected to Cassidy, like we're able to pull the context on like a user experience level, but also keep track of stuff like in a ticketing system for where are we at in the tasks and the projects, where is the pipeline for different leads and sources that we're taking in, new opportunities. It's really cool to blend those things together. So in the consulting work, we're sitting down with business leaders and talking through how they operate. If they're a larger company, how do their departments and teams work together? Where do they collaborate? What sort of things could be benefited internally from connecting some of these dots. And oftentimes it's simple solutions that get started, and then everything snowballs into like way more complicated, like let's automate all the meeting information getting shared into one place. And then a whole team is sitting there like, well, we could do this way better if we XYZ changed things. So there's a really cool like blend of like biz ops, deep dive, like operational excellence that we want to install with all the different teams that we partner with. But then we're also having to like take that own medicine and eat our own dog food to take your line on the organization side for ourselves. But it's, normally pairing tools together, starting the duct tape process to create something that truly is more powerful than, any individual piece of the system.
I would say, Justin, for us with the nonprofit clients that come in the door, one of the biggest pain points is just providing donors evidence of impact, right? Like not only like effusing gratitude, like that's a given, but demonstrating impact is like a whole world. You can crawl, you can walk, and you can run. And I think that, and it equals money. Like literally, you tell people what you've done with their money, you demonstrate the impact, it's an extension of their own values, and then they repeat the giving behavior. But it's also something that always falls through the cracks because it can be labor intensive. Maybe they don't have the automations. They probably don't have the skill set in some cases. So like the easy version is, okay, let's just make sure that the emails, the thank you emails and the thank you sequence that goes out is like lovely and personalized and well-informed. The next level is, okay, the doc gen of an impact report, because that's another example. Like most frontline fundraisers can't wait for a Marcom unit to create some fancy, impact report once a year. Like they need it right now. So this puts the power in the hands of the frontline fundraiser who needs to go out and solicit the gift. And then the third level, which is like the literal holy grail in our industry, would be to be able to transfer information from like the finance side of the house on how the money was actually spent, like the actual line items, and transfer that into a narrative around the impact. And then that goes into the impact report, and no one ever has to, the action item of going between whatever janky finance system exists into a document format that's a narrative and that's lovely, and heaven forbid that there's actual images as well. To be able to do that would be a revolution in our industry. And I 100 million% see Cassidy being able to do this. We would sell this to every nonprofit that knew that it existed.
For sure.
Yeah. So I love that.
One of the things I'm like super excited about with this Notion thing is once we get this dialed in the way that we're operating it for ourselves is I know e-com, like, and I know B2B and B2C businesses in there. Essentially, like you could have a Shopify store that is connected to the Notion base. So all of the orders, all the product pages, all the client information, like literally everything can land into Notion. And then it doesn't matter who's on the phone with the client, with a customer that's calling in with a question, that can be answered immediately right then over the phone without having to wait to be gotten back to. You don't have to go check in with someone else on the team. It's all right there. And if it's like a really specialized thing, like in the instance of like the greenhouse manufacturing company, it would take us years to get a salesperson trained on not only like what type of greenhouse should they be pitching to who, when. Can you recommend and talk about like the actual growing side of things, like to be an industry expert on top of that and know how to sell well? Like things like Cassidy allow them to co-pilot that process. So if they get a question they don't know, they could just pop that into Cassidy right on the call and get an answer that's not just a Chat GPT answer. It's an answer based on how we do things in our organization, which that is like, that removes the barrier. It removes years of training, literal years of training from people to get them up to that level. The one thing I want to talk about too, let's pop this up because if y'all have questions, and I'm sure that you might, we've got a little QR code you can scan, and that will book a 15-minute discovery call. That goes to our Calendly page. You can hit us up, and we would be happy to talk to you about all things AI in your organization, and then see how we can help you from there. Answer any questions you have about Cassidy, any of the workflows, any ways that you've been thinking about, or even looking for ways you can use AI in your business. Would love to talk to you about that. So shameless plug, scan away, give us a call.
Yes, love it. Well, also wanted to give Justin a huge shout out for hopping in. Justin, we'll roll out the red carpet for you. How can people get more information about Cassidy? How can they get plugged into the system? I know you said your sales cycle is pretty hands-on right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, request access on our website. You'll get access in one way or another. Reach out to you guys to help get set up on Cassidy. Another great way to go about it. But I mean, all this exciting. Like I think what you said about the hive mind, right? As these AI models get better, it becomes more and more critical for organizations to have the hive mind, because to take full advantage of Gemini Ultra, of GPT-5, of whatever it is. The best way you're going to be able to do that is to have that context ready to go, having things built out, having workflows built with GPT-4. They only get upgraded as the models get better. But there's just that level of implementation and setup for your organization that, you lay the groundwork, and as these foundational models get better, the workflows get better, and the more they're able to do. And so, yeah, it's exciting stuff.
What a mic drop.
Thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much for hopping in. This was super sweet.
Yeah, thank you, Justin.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
But are we signing off too, you guys?
Well, we
Sorry,
got-
Justin, I got a whole outro.
Okay,
All right,
good.
let's hear the outro.
Oh,
Let's hear the
yeah.
outro. Yeah, we're gonna let Justin.
Oh, all right. Let the outro go. I'll leave.
Yeah, we'll let
and
you
then
get
do
back
the
to work. We know you're a busy man. We appreciate you jumping
Yeah.
on.
Thanks so much, Justin.
See you guys.
See you later.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. What a fun session talking about the hive mind, from a deep cut of Tyler's historical chicken business knowledge base to cutting edge blazing AI technology with Justin. Hope you guys have enjoyed the conversation today. Yeah, we're really excited for everything that's happening inside of the Cassidy system, how we're building the hive mind for ourselves and our customers. If you're, once again, looking to take a next step and have a conversation, we've got that QR code in the corner here. Feel free to scan it, book a discovery. We'll talk for a few minutes and just get a good sense of who you are, what your business is up to, and what would be a good next step with your AI journey. Signing off from the Light Magic team, we've got Tyler and Sarah. We will see you all out there on the internet and here next week. So
And tomorrow, AI Applied, and Friday, Bits and Bytes and Banter.
Yes.
Yeah.
More content to come.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Have a beautiful
Bye.
day. Bye.
See ya.